All right. Calm down. Jeez, I'm back. Relax. We're back. Don't worry, okay? Feng the Accursed. We're doing it. We're talking about healing, talking about the fight, talking about all kinds of stuff. Plain and simple. This is going to be a guide that is going to help you understand your role as a healer, understand the meta of the healer in this fight. This will not help you raid down the boss. This is assuming everyone around you already know the mechanics to down this boss, but we're going to talk about very specific things that the healer needs to know and needs to execute properly and able to maintain their ability and perform the greatest they can in their class. And at the end, maybe some of these tips would be like, oh yeah, flex them muscles, look at the healing, you're on top. Let's check it out. 3 phases. Talking about the first one first, called Spirit of the Fist. Very straightforward phase. Essentially, there's going to be 2 things you need to worry about. Sometimes he's going to turn to the raid. Say the boss is tanked by blue. That's essentially what you want. Everybody's stacked up on purple who can be. Obviously, the melee and the tanks can't be. He's going to turn towards you guys at some point, throw some lightning out. Scoot to the side, scoot back. Very easily, right? Now, what you do need to realize is some people will not scoot to the side because they'll want to get that extra lava burst or arcane blast off. Well, they're going to take a lot of damage, needs a heal. Don't spend a ton of mana on it, just keep your eye on it. Next things, we got the epicenter. One of my favorite mechanics in this fight because it lines up very well with my cooldowns. What's going to happen is there's going to be 1 every minute, I believe, and they can be reduced by the tank ability that's part of this fight. Don't worry about that, okay? But just realize only the first one is going to be reduced. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. Just casual healing. Don't spend a lot of mana. Okay, this fight is all about spending and saving at the right time. We're going to talk about that. Next time an epicenter comes around, you need to do some healing. This is absolutely Holy Radiance. Try to conserve, but splash around the heal with Holy Shock, light it on. Throw down the hammer if you're using that. Definitely, this lines up perfectly. 1 minute, every other one it'll be up. Definitely need this. Okay, you need good healing for this. People are going to take damage, and you don't want to fall behind because there is incidental damage happening, especially the tank. So spend some mana here, but you'll definitely want to conserve for the next coming phases. Okay, we're in phase 2 now. Boss transitions. Wildfire sparks going out. Don't worry about that as a healer. Does no damage. If you get marked, take it to where your raid wants it. Just stay the fuck out. Got to be aware of that, but doesn't do much, no real damage, so don't worry about it. Just don't stand in it. If other people are standing in it, you're fucked anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. What is important? Draw flame. Can be reduced. Only going to happen once, ideally. I don't think it can happen twice, and you can succeed in this fight. So you want to only, obviously, have it happen once. What's going to happen is going to draw in all the fire. The more people standing in that fire, the more molten fist stacks he's going to get. Okay, it's a bad thing because every time he hits the tank, it's going to splash fire damage around the raid. This is going to hurt. Okay, so you don't normally look at this fight as a tank fight, but the tank needs attention here. I would recommend a sack, perhaps bubble on yourself to keep yourself alive. Just do anything you can to reduce damage on yourself, and keep yourself out of the mix of healing because you don't want to have to worry about you or the tanks in this phase. The AoE damage is going to be intense. I'm talking real intense. It's going to last for a minute or so. So you'll want to put down a CD. It's going to take a while, and you're going to spend mana here, okay? Every other phase, besides the epicenter and this, you got to save elsewhere, okay? Spend for the epicenter, spend for this, save. All about the mana. It's going to be a long fight, and you definitely need to know when and when not to conserve and spend mana. I would definitely recommend throughout the fight, first for the first epicenter, well, the second, the actual effective epicenter, and now for this and for the next phase, you need a rotation of CDs. You need to be vocal with your other healers. You need to be saying, whoever coordinates this type of stuff, it needs to happen. You cannot do this fight properly anyway without the proper cooldown rotation. I'd recommend Devotion Aura, bubble early, save a Trank for the end if you can, but use the Druids at their own discretion. Definitely want a Spirit Link Totem for the fire phase, most important, and then Healing Tide for pretty much the last phase, but as long as you're on the same page with all your healers, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But anyway, you're all stacked up. At least from what I've seen, most people stack them up in the corner here for the draw flame. Get the fuck out when the fire's coming in. And then after it's in, just go heal mode. I mean, this is drop the bomb, drop everything. I don't know where that went. That's absurd. But just heal people up and just keep the HPS rolling. But you got to make sure you finish this phase with about 20% mana. I'll explain why in a second. But if you're not doing that, you've done something wrong, likely in the conserve phases, or perhaps your gear is just not ready for that. Okay, we're in the third phase now. We've managed to get through the second phase. Hopefully your raid's done a good job. If there's any people that need to be topped up, please do it. If you have not finished the phase with at least 20 to 15% mana, that's it for you. You're out. You're done. What's going to happen is there's going to be two mechanics, okay? I'm talking arcane velocity first. Basically just going to be an AoE damage. The farther you are away from the boss, the more damage it's going to do exponentially, okay? We're talking down to 1 yard. The closer you are to the boss, the better. You need to be directly underneath him for a very specific reason. Now, this obviously helps, right? This is a good thing. You want everybody up. You can heal them up pretty easily. I'm not sure you're going to have a lot of mana left, but definitely to be working in cooldown rotation, working in single target rotation for the tank, perhaps pain suppression if you haven't yet. But one way or the other, it's going to complicate this phase. Arcane Resonance. It's going to pick people. They're going to explode, long story short. Don't worry about it. Just realize that whoever is exploding, make sure they're away from the raid. If they clip a few people, like 5 to 10 people, it is decimating. You are going to know it happened, and it's going to be really painful. Ideally, that's not going to happen, but if it does, you're going to have to heal through it, obviously, right? So this is why I said, I mean, not having the mana for this phase can really suck. It can be really, really tough. And it could be the reason you wipe or you don't wipe. If you have enough mana to heal through a few mistakes here and there throughout this fight, it's quite doable. But one way or the other, I can't express this enough. You cannot just go guns blazing. Early on, the epicenters, they're going to look like they're a threat, but they are not compared to what's coming. So I beg you, save mana. Use what you can to keep people alive through epicenter, but you need to know the symbiosis between your raid. You need to know what healers can heal effectively, what healers can save mana, what healers can spend when. You definitely want to be using reduction. Tanks are also going to get hit hard. Something that's not really noticed. But when they do, it's like, whoa, 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 hold on. I've seen on the raid, tanks definitely need up. So when the Fists of Fire are happening, that's a good time to throw a sack on the tank. Like I said, bubble yourself, something like that. Just you want to keep the tanks and yourself and the other healers out of the mix because the DPS are definitely going to be getting rocked. All in all, I think I like this fight a lot. I mean, I would say this is probably like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. It's not very difficult to actually heal to stay ahead of, but it's very difficult to finish the fight appropriately. You need to have enough mana to get through the whole thing, and that is not always an easy task, especially with the way gear is now. I would say if you're done with the first phase and you have about 70% mana, you're a little behind. Probably about 80 is where you want to finish, because that second phase is going to drain at least 50% of your mana every time, no matter what you do. I don't care what class you are. I mean, if it's not, then you're just doing it wrong, or perhaps you're super geared. One way or the other, that's pretty much it. It's a straightforward fight. You got to look at it as a heal and conserve. The balance is very, very, very important, but if you can maximize that, you can do well. And you definitely need cooldown rotations, special single target, and then AoE during the appropriate phases. Going to be doing this for hopefully every boss in here and the upcoming raids. Do some heroics as well. I appreciate your support. Hope this helped. Hope it helped, pad the meters a little bit. Everybody wants to compete, especially if you're new in a guild. You want to show what's up. It's a good thing. It's once again a guide based at healing, so I hope that kind of makes sense. But one way or the other, that's it. You know what I mean? If you didn't like this though, you can just eat a dick,